Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to the 9th Annual Short Circuit Pacific Rim Film Festival, coming at you live on YouTube. My name is David Geis, Executive Director of Cinevic Society of Independent Filmmakers. Cinevic acknowledges and respects the long history of the Lekwungen-speaking people now known as the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, as well as the Wasanich First Nation on whose traditional and unceded territory we carry out our activities. The colonial name for this region is Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, and our headquarters is in the city of Victoria. That's where I'm coming from. Cinevic is an artist-run society supporting independent filmmakers and media artists with accessible programming, affordable equipment, professional development resources, and cinematic exhibition opportunities since 1991. And Short Circuit is our annual showcase of short films from over 30 countries around the Pacific Rim. This year is our biggest festival yet, with 50 films streaming on demand until May 31st, 10 filmmaker Q&As, and for the locals in Victoria, we've got an outdoor mini cinema with all the films running 24/7 in the Ministry of Casual Living window gallery in Odeon Alley, aka Millie's Lane, just a few doors down from Cinevic headquarters on Yates Street in downtown Victoria. We also have the 5th edition of our CineSpark programming coming up as part of the festival here with the live pitch event coming up Wednesday, May 19th at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, also live on YouTube. This year's top 5 screenwriters will pitch their short film ideas to a panel of judges, and one winner will walk away with a production package of cash, equipment, and resources valued at over $17,500, courtesy of Cinevic, William F. White International, and Moto Car Share Co-op. Check out all that info, get your tickets, watch the films, see more Q&As, and also the CineSpark pitches at shortcircuitfilmfestival.com. We're proud to be setting a new standard of sharing ticket sales equally with all of our filmmakers, so please help us spread the word and support artists around the world. Of course, a big thank you to our funders, Canada Council for the Arts, BC Arts Council, Province of British Columbia, CRD Art Service, and this year, a new sponsor, Telefilm Canada. Great to have you on board. So, like I mentioned, this year we're broadcasting our Q&As live on YouTube. If you don't see the YouTube chat box, first of all, make sure you're in YouTube. You might be viewing on our website, but head over to YouTube to see the chat box. And then you need to sort of click either the live chat or show chat button just under or beside the video player somewhere. If you're not logged into YouTube, it might ask you to create a channel in order to participate in the chat. Basically, that's just setting up your screen name so we know who you are. So please type your questions in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. Be aware that your question and screen name may be selected to appear on screen. Please also include the name of the filmmaker to whom you're directing your question, just so we know who to ask your question. The recording of this video will stay up on YouTube after we're done here today, so if you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and share this video. So now, to introduce our filmmakers from the screening program, The Body Politic. We've got a couple of them in the room so far. I think a couple of them are also going to be late here, but we'll just sort of start with what we have. First of all, we've got Joshua Manyheads tuning in from the Siksika Nation in Alberta. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you for being here.
Co-director of the film Piiksi, Huia, that we'll talk about in just a second here. I'll kind of read the bio for both you and Cian, your collaborator here. Cian Elyse White is of Maori descent and worked with Joshua Manyheads as a cultural director on this film, which was written, shot, and edited in 24 hours as part of the Maoriland Film Festival. Although, as we were talking about before we went live here, I think it might have been 72 hours, sort of 24 hours to write, 24 to shoot, and 24 to edit, I think is what it was. Okay, so we'll come back to you in just a second, Josh. Next up, we've got Edgar Garcia Chavez. Welcome, tuning in from Portland, Oregon. Edgar is a first-generation Mexican-American creator that calls Oregon home. He loves how images can convey very strong messages and ideas without written explanations. For the past 5 years, he's been involved in the local film community as a director and editor of his own productions, as well as helping other people realize their projects. Sounds great. Welcome, Edgar.
Thank you.
So, just to kind of go back where we started, we'll head back to Josh here. Welcome once again, Josh. So I'm going to start off, talking about your film Piiksi, Huia. Am I saying that correctly? Huia is sort of the translation.
Yeah, I believe that's the correct way. Piiksi, Huia. Yeah, I believe you got it right there first time.
Piiksi, Huia. Okay. And that film basically shows the moment that an ancestral visitor shows up during a ballerina's audition performance. So I've got to say we were glad to be able to program a few dance films this year, and yours sort of led the way and set the tone for this block of films, The Body Politic. coming together as its own package. So I'm wondering, where this idea kind of came from, to do, what could be classified basically as a dance film. Where did this kind of come from?
Yeah, well, I'll speak on my end. If Cian gets there, she'd probably really give you a good explanation. But my point of from what I remember, when we first kind of came up with the idea of the dancing and the cultural stuff, it kind of was a script Cian came up with, and what we had to do was it was for a project Native Slam. So when I went to New Zealand for the Moreland Film Festival, we both had to collaborate both our cultures. Hers being Maori, mine being Blackfoot, and just kind of like combine that together. And Cian already had the script written when I read it, and she kind of had this idea of a girl, like as you see in the film. No, I don't think I really need to give a synopsis on this, but yes, like it did in the film about her kind of being in touch with like ancestral, her bond between both. And I think from what me and Cian both were kind of talking about, and I think we agreed upon, was like just in a sense that with the script she already made, we kind of just intertwined my culture, which is Blackfoot culture, into the story. Was kind of like a character who was both Blackfoot and Maori at the same time, and kind of like interpreting that into the film. And from there on, that's where we kind of got the idea of the, like as you would see in the pictures below, kind of like her ancestors kind of coming to her, later in the film, kind of like showing of how her being in touch with both her ancestral sides and kind of feeling that empowering moment. I think is what we tried to capture with that.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Yeah, it's very captivating. One of the things that's kind of first noticeable, to me at least, is the sound, the importance of sound. I mean, of course, it's. I mean, I keep calling it a dance film. I hope that's not, you don't take that sort of pejoratively. I really love dance films, so that's that's why I call it a dance film. But it being a dance film, the sound is actually, I think, very important. There's minimal dialogue. The sounds we do hear, especially during kind of the final dance scene. Then when there is kind of more, I guess, louder sounds and kind of more, I guess, jarring sounds, then those seem more noticeable. And then, of course, that adds to the contrast between, the two different styles of dance that we see in the film. There's this nice contrast there that's heightened with the sound. So I guess, if you maybe want to talk a bit more about the sound. I mean, personally, I just don't like writing dialogue, so that's why I don't include much dialogue in my films. But what was your kind of motivation for the sound?
Well, I think from the motivation we got from the sound was really because we only had like a very few hours to make the film, so we didn't want to make I believe to make it too overcrowded, but also too like Cian, as she was kind of directing, she just had all of these, I think, like ideas of how she wanted to do it, like less talk, more show. I think from what if I could say that for herself, I believe when we did the film was we just kind of wanted to just show it more than just kind of talk about it, and I think she did a really good job. The editors and the sound, they did a really good job on kind of captivating that those scenes inside the film, and I thought that was just very great. That was a very great thing to see. And I'm just gathering my thoughts here. So I think when we kind of went in there, we just wanted to just make something more, like I said before, I think we just wanted to go something more showing it rather than telling. And in the film, you see a lot of that, like right from the dance cues to the music, to kind of like even when she kind of like gets in touch with her ancestral background. And I just feel like all those little kind of beats in the story just kind of like, I think they just kind of like just clicked. You just kind of like clicked in the movie, in the film. And I think the way that everybody, the collaboration of it just kind of was, I don't know, I guess you would say it was just it just kind of happened, and I find that I just thought that was a neat way, kind of like the idea we all had for that film and the way it kind of turned out in the end.
Wonderful. Yeah, all of that is, well, I mean, those are sort of what we learn in film school, or I guess even if you don't go to film school, you learn this pretty quickly. The old show don't tell. It's very effective. I'm wondering, now this is something I probably would have asked both you and Cian, but so as we mentioned, the film was made pretty quickly, kind of in a few days turnaround through the Native Slam program at the Maryland Film Festival in New Zealand. So I'm just kind of wondering, like now this must have been before COVID, like you were at the festival, so you were able to collaborate in person, or was it kind of like over digitally over different countries, or how did that work?
Yeah, so it actually was, I want to say pre-COVID, or just kind of like when the outbreak kind of just started happening. So before pre-COVID, my plan was to go to New Zealand, which I did. So when me and Cian, and we actually collaborated in person for the project. So I think from when I went there, they were very hospitable to me, and I really appreciate everything they did for me out there. And I think it was during like one of the Airbnb we had there, I just had a chance to talk to Cian, kind of had some dinner, some lunch and stuff, and we just kind of talked over it in person. And like I said, she showed me everything. From there too, I met the crew that we already kind of like had going for. I think it was I can't remember too much on it, but yeah, all I know is that we had quite of a between me and her, we kind of had that collaboration to do all this stuff, and I thought it was a great opportunity for us to meet in person, go over the idea. And yeah, again, it was before like COVID happened, so when we kind of made the film, it's kind of like it was during the time when COVID started becoming a big thing. Like you were seeing it on the news, like people were telling, people come home from traveling. So in a way, it was kind of a punch to the gut for myself, because I just got there and having to being told to go home right afterwards. But I was just glad that before all that happened, like me and Cian were able to have a chance to collaborate and kind of come up with this idea that we both had for this film, and I thought it was really great. And yeah, I think that's really all I say about that.
So yeah, I guess that the fact that it was before COVID, just before COVID, meant that at least you were able to collaborate kind of in person. I imagine that would have been a lot more difficult over the airwaves, over different countries to try and make a film. But I wonder, I mean, I'm not sure, maybe this year or last year at the festival, maybe they did try that. I'm not too sure. So kudos for such a short turnaround. I know at Cinevic here, we've done a few of those kind of short 48-hour, 72-hour film slam type of things. We've got another one coming up soon, so watch for an announcement on that. But yeah, it's a bit of a, maybe takes a bit of a toll on you. It's a bit of a panic, but it's nice that it kind of sets a deadline, I think, and it forces you to kind of finish, as opposed to sometimes I know as filmmakers, we end up, maybe starting something or shooting something, and then the footage kind of sits on the shelf for a year or 2 years or forever. So I'm very glad that this film was made, and you were, I guess sort of had to finish it in a short turnaround. So I'm just going to jump over to Edgar, but we'll probably come back to you in a few minutes. Josh, thanks. All right, Edgar, hello again.
Oh, hello.
Welcome back. Just got to keep things moving here, popping back and forth. So yes, I can't remember if I mentioned, but you're tuning in from Portland, Oregon.
That's correct, yes.
Wonderful. And your film, Black and White, breaks down, questions, maybe even redefines the dictionary definitions of the words black and white through spoken word and performance. And we're glad to have we've got some sort of selfie intro videos from some of the filmmakers this year, and yours came in from your lead actor, Bryson Black. Mm-hmm. Now, he calls it, just as a sort of a first thing to set up, I don't know, I guess the genre here, he calls it an experimental film. So I guess I'm wondering if you would call it that, and what, if so, or even if not, that's fine. What kind of made you go in that direction, the more, I guess, experimental direction? Like, are you generally an experimental filmmaker, or is this kind of a departure for you?
I'm usually more experimental. I like to see how film can tell specific stories, only specific to film, like something you can only do with film that is not like other genres, theater or music or dance or something, so something like you can show something a little bit different, so how you can do special effects or something like that. And I started actually with doing mostly experimental films with 16 millimeters and Super 8. So basically they didn't have sound in it because they cannot really record sound on those. And then I just added some music score to them. So I think for this film, I think it is experimental in some way, because it doesn't have a linear narrative or something that you just go to from point A to point B. And I want to show so what I was trying to do is get how the words itself has a meaning, and then correlate those with the image to the performance that the actor, in this case Bryson Black, was doing. And I thought like it can only like understand if you see the film. If I try to explain it, I don't think it has the same strength. Like the images, I think, convey the meaning through the performance as well. And as you can see, some of the images here, I think they are like self-explanatory. Even there's no dialogue or music.
Right, exactly. So that's, I guess, similar to what we were talking about with Joshua. Yeah, no, at least no dialogue spoken from the main actor. Well, I guess sort of voiceover. I guess it's done in voiceover. Yeah. Which, looking at the credits, I guess you were also the writer of. So it's it's not a case of like some other cases where a filmmaker is going to sort of they found a poem that they like or something like that, and they're taking someone else's work and turning it into a film. So you wrote that kind of voiceover dialogue and basically, I mean, all the other elements as well. So what was your, was that the starting point, the voice over the text, or was the performance?
So actually, I just took the dialogue, or exactly like verbatim, from the dictionary. So each word is like the definition that it has from the dictionary. So that what I was like, what I put together is like how they go in relation, which one relates to the next, which word relates to the next word, and then how they interact. So I think for the word black, there were a lot of definitions. For the word white, there were not so many. So I had to stretch it a little bit. So the writing, I also created the performance itself, like the movements of the actor, what is going to do at what point. All of that, I define it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes perfect sense. I mean, I knew that it was centered around this, the dictionary definitions, but I guess for some reason I assumed that you had, I don't know, added your own flair or revised those exact definitions. But I guess, like you said, you took it right out of the dictionary.
Yeah, so I was trying to get it just right from the dictionary, but I still what I did, my point of view is because I selected which definitions I want to put in what order, right? So that's like, because I think the relation to each word to the next word, and so I spent time trying to figure out that and what I thought would be more like, I guess, shocking, and all this, like, going a little bit viral. So this happened like, so I have this idea of black and white for the dictionary. But then the incident of George Floyd, the end of May of last year, I felt like I wanted like create something or like through art, trying to express like how I felt about it, and I wanted to do it right away. So this one is like, for this short film, it was relatively quick. I think it took like 3 weeks to just get the people, get the studio, and trying to get the crew, and then shoot it, and then I had to like then edit it, because I edited that part too. And get the in this case, the music was very important to the part as well. And Bryson, actually, he's the one doing the voiceover too. So he is the actor and the voiceover. I don't think I put it in the credits, but yeah. So I was trying to do it like that would be kind of like my contribution to trying to deal with issues with the race and identity.
Well, it's very, very effective. I'm wondering what kind of reaction have you received from this film, and other screenings kind of around the world? I guess specifically, I'm wondering if anybody is, well, I mean, there's even the image that we pulled up of sort of, kind of almost making a gun kind of thing with his hand.
Yeah, so you make it a, let me see what is like that.
Yeah.
Before, so he's making like, a sign like that, right? And that image I saw. So there's this French singer. Her name is Sophie Hunger, and I was listening to her song. It's called "The Wind Will Carry Us," and she's creating some of that imagery or similar to that. And so I kind of use those and modify but going back to your question to see if what was the reaction. So it's actually been very positive. Like, a lot of the people see how, like, I think because a lot of people identify with the message, or they feel like they're telling a story, like how powerful like words have meaning. Like how when like spoken words actually is not just a random sounds, but that actually has like a the meaning and how strong they are. And in terms of how it's been accepted, so this one has been accepted to 22 film festivals, and it won four awards. So one of them was in Canada, was in the Toronto Alternative Film Festival, I think, and it won Best Cinematography. So it's been very and it's online as well. I put it on Vimeo, and it has around like 15,000 views or something. And so it's been very it has been a very good positive response from everybody.
Good. Yeah, I'm just sort of wondering in those moments, with the sort of that hand pointing, and even the parts where he's sort of, I almost kind of suffocating himself or strangling himself with the white paint. It's not typically sort of violence in film, but things like that can be taken that way by, I guess, people who want to, want to make an issue out of that. So I was just wondering if those were, if those scenes, even though it's not an actual gun, there isn't actual blood, you're trying to convey a message here. If anybody sort of took issue with that and thought, oh, this film is too violent, even though it's not really violent at all. It's kind of calling out violence in the other direction. But yeah, as long as you're getting positive responses for that, that's great.
Yeah. So I think that the film is not like the violence is not implicit, right? So it's more like what you see will come out, and I think like I'm saying it's like that's what I like to do. I think it's so strong in film because then you get that only with film. You know what I mean? Because the combination of the voiceover, the music score, the performance, and in this case, white paint creates a whole, and then creates a different result or a different feeling. That I think I think audiences are being very receptive to the film itself, even though the message is very, I think, strong, right?
Definitely, and timely, and good to know. I guess that your I guess initial even idea for this film was after the murder of George Floyd. It wasn't like you hadn't started before that. So you've managed to, I guess, come up with it, make it, turn it around, and even have it screening at festivals in almost less than a year here. That's pretty.
Yeah. So I had the idea of like the meaning of the words black and white already. I was being like but I was playing with it or trying to see. But I guess in this case, when the George Floyd event happened, that was kind of my deadline. Then I was like, okay, I have to do something soon to contribute to the cause, to try to say, okay, this is an issue that is being, that we should address in some way. And I'm trying to then use, okay, what are the tools that I have at my hand? It's like, as a filmmaker, it's like, okay, what is my, how to do it, So then I'll try to assemble together, talk to friends, and like, okay, can we do this, and send the script, and it was just done in a half a day. We already have the editing part that took longer, but yeah, it was really quick. And then after that, I wanted then show it as much as possible. So when I talk about it and bring it to film festivals, I think is very very good way to promote it and have other like-minded people to see it. And I think short films in general, it's hard to have a market for it. So I think film festivals are great to promote it and show it to people that there's another art form that is, I think, overlooked in some way. But I think short films, they just give a lot of I'm gonna say a direct message in a short amount of time. Because I think sometimes feature films, there's a lot of feel time, but I think it's different, right? So I think promoting short films, I think that's most I've done. So I really enjoy it.
Good, yeah, that's exactly what we try to do with Short Circuit is promote short film as a viable art form. A lot of people, if they do go on to make features or I don't know, television or whatever else they do, they might start in short film. So and a lot of them are really good. Geez, we've got 50 this year because they were so good we couldn't say no to a lot of them. So we just thought, you know what, let's just load it up with 50 because they're all good. Okay, I'm just going to bring Josh back in here as well and kind of move on to more, I guess, kind of some group conversation here. So just, I guess, building off on what you were just saying, combating racism through film and discussing these important topics, especially over the past year. I'm just kind of wondering, well, I guess as a jumping off point here, Cinevic recently had a workshop, online workshop, on the topic of racism and cultural appropriation in the arts, led by a local Victoria filmmaker, Simone Blais, with her film Dance Like Everybody's Watching. And there's sort of a moment of interview in there where she talks about, racism and the effects of racism being a very visceral experience, that is for, you feel it in your body, basically. And I guess I should say that her film was also basically sort of a dance film about local dancers. So I'm wondering if you both, maybe Joshua first, but if you both want to talk a bit about that and how that, I guess, obviously plays into your film, but even just more generally, racism, I guess, do you feel that way, or expand on that a little bit? Racism being kind of this visceral experience that you feel in your body, and you want to communicate then that again on film with bodies and dance and that.
Yeah, I feel like, kind of like saying there, kind of like, showing that film, kind of like that. Can you like say that again quickly? It's a bit of a loaded question. Can you say from one more time there, David?
It is a bit of a loaded question, I guess. I'm just wondering what's your thoughts on that? Racism, if you've experienced, presumably you've probably experienced some forms of racism in your life. Is it, would you categorize as that as well, as sort of this visceral experience that you can feel in your body? And then part of that too is then you maybe want to communicate that story out on film, again, with bodies and dance and that kind of thing.
No, okay. Sure, now I kind of get it. I feel like it is kind of like a thing that I feel like most of the time when you are kind of like the minority, like especially for me, I'm in this, and stuff, and in the past we have dealt with a lot of that stuff, like racism and kind of like I guess you get inequality sometimes towards cultures and other things like that. But I feel like kind of like through like the emotions, like in film, to show that, kind of to express yourself, I feel like is a good way to kind of just just show people, kind of, I wouldn't want to say like the negativities of it, but show kind of like the positive of expressing yourself, I guess you would say, if I'm explaining that right. Kind of like expressing yourself in those kind of sense. And I mean, for me personally, I kind of do feel like, and not just me personally, but other people of indigenous culture, we've faced racism for a long time, since time immemorial, since even for our people, right down to the treaties. And sometimes like for me, I could speak on me and Cian's film to show that kind of that inequality, showing that we don't need to be limited to just those standards, but we also have our cultures. And I can't even just speak for myself, but for other cultures, I just find that empowering to show and express yourself through body and language, to be proud of who you are. I think in that sense, that's a good thing to express, to show that even though we all may be different cultures, we're still humans. We're still kind of the humanity in left inside. But to express all that through film, I think is a great thing to do. Body language, through the dance, through everything. Kind of like intertwining your culture with even with another, especially with what me and Cian did with Piiksi and Huia, where we were able to kind of like combine cultures and kind of make this strong connection, not just with the characters, but even with the audience, to feel that how would you say, kind of like that spiritual connection, if that all makes sense.
It does make sense, especially with as we showed earlier, the shot, with the ancestor appearing over the shoulder. That's where it's they kind of, I guess, will help, well, for that main character at least, help them get through this moment and kind of re-empower themselves. At least that's what it seems to convey to me. So that makes sense. Edgar, what about you? If that's, I don't know if that's really a question, but if you want to expand on that a bit more.
So I mean, I'm Mexican American, so it's like obviously my English is not perfect. I have an accent and all that, so I always have brought sometimes issues with that in some way. So what I'm trying to do in film, so I'm trying to do and I always have diversity. So I'm trying to work with all, different kinds of cultures and different kind of people, and trying to get trying to understand their culture and trying to promote and show that. And I'm trying to not be like preachy or saying, okay, this is bad, this is good. So I'm trying to more like show imagery or something, and then let the audience get their understanding by themselves, like what they see. And they're usually trying to do more of a positive, things. Even with black and white, I think it's a little bit more, aggressive in the message and the imagery. But I think it's not like you don't never see blood, or you never see actual, real violent things. Because like to me is very interesting how like. For example, in social media or like in Facebook or Instagram, you can see a person being killed. You can see George Floyd die, but you cannot see nudity, right? You cannot see a human body or anything. So what is the relevance? Like how it's like human is being like dehumanized almost, right? And I think sometimes a lot of like the action movies and all that, they just show violence that is like so unrealistic that I say, okay, this is really affecting a group, and this is really affecting, different society, and then everybody just see it as just purely entertainment, So I'm trying to like balance the whole in my short films, trying to have like the idea of some kind of positive social message with entertainment that is that it provides something visually visually in something that the people want to see, but at the same time it has a message. And like to me specifically, I have dealt with racism in some way. People sometimes think I'm Indian, that I am like Arab, or I'm other things, and I think like the history of Mexican citizens or coming here to the United States have a long issues of racism as well. But I'm trying to, like I'm saying in my short films and all that, trying to get collaboration. Try to get the diversity. I always try to get the cast and the crew to have like, different ethnicities or different like genres. Yeah. So.
Perfect. Good. I was just wondering about that. It just made me think of that, since we had a recent workshop on that, and it kind of made me just clue into making, I guess, this genre of dance film that I keep mentioning. Being even more, I guess, more relevant in this subject matter, this very serious subject matter of racism, and the effects of it. The violence of it, the kind of response to it, to sort of use dance and the body, the human body, in that way to convey the story that maybe sometimes even, going back then to minimal dialogue, that dialogue may not fully convey, or dialogue can be sort of misconstrued or something like that. So then we go back to what we've got, which is our bodies, I guess, to try and tell that story.
Yeah, and I think there's a cultural shift right now. Like I think what happened last year shows like, okay, this is not an issue, but it's been an issue for a long time. It's just like it has not been like explored, or hasn't been like understood for a lot of people, And I think there's been a cultural shift, and that is what I was trying to get the short film, get it out as soon as possible, to be part of that shift in some way.
Okay, now I'm wondering. We've reached that point in the Q&A. If anybody who's watching, please plunk your questions, comments in the chat box. If you're joining us on YouTube, we've still got a bit of time to answer them. In the meantime, I'm just going to ask both of you if you've hopefully seen each other's films, and if you've got any sort of questions or comments for each other. I know we kind of started that discussion before we went live, but let's restart that.
Yeah, so I was telling Joshua, I really enjoyed your film, and like how your with the minimum dialogue, how much dance express like you can see her body, how the frustration and everything is happening, and how like the shift of trying to be in like a ballerina for like a classic European dance, that I think there are more I'm gonna say quiet, I guess, the stuff. And I think like at the point when she fails, and then the figure of the ancestor comes in, and then her culture or her like identity comes out, and she just let it out. I think was very powerful.
Yeah, no, that was thanks for that. Yeah, no, it was. I thought it was very powerful the way they did it, and of course, I don't want to take all the credit for it because most of the D2 is like Cian too, like from her background as well, and for what she did too. It's too bad she couldn't join us today, but she, I feel like she did a really great job of showing that empowerment, in the film, and kind of like conveying that on screen. Because even like while we were shooting it, it was just kind of like a proud moment, and then sit there and just kind of watch, kind of like that empowerment show, and kind of know that what kind of message you're sending out to the audience, is just that kind of like not just empowerment for women, but just empowerment of yourself, like don't be ashamed of your culture, and like I said before, have to live by a certain standard of what society thinks you should be, but what you feel like you should be, kind of. And I feel like Cian did a great job, and I feel like we all did a great job, kind of like trying to convey that. And as for your film, Edgar, I don't think I had a chance to see it, but I would love to see it because from what I've been listening to you and David talk about, you seem like you've got some, and from what I've seen in the visuals as well, it just seems must be a very powerful story you're trying to tell, not trying to tell, but you are telling, with the film you've come out with. And yeah, I mean, like, I feel like it's probably a very powerful film, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, so you check it out. I mean, it's in. I think everybody has the link, right, for the body politic, and we really try to like I would say trying to show. I think in some ways similar to how like just with your body, how to tell the story with your body. Like in this case, in my short film, it's only one person, Brides of Black. Is just himself, against just a wall of Black Lives Matter posters, and then how that with the light and everything it tells a story. So I thought it was very successful. I mean, I enjoy the process and enjoy the film, and I have a very good feedback for like film festivals and like and other and audiences. So I think it's been selected to 21 film festivals and it won 4 awards. So that was it's just very, very happy with it. And I'm trying to like promote it as much as I can and trying to show it as much as I can. And yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, like, let me know what you think. I think we're friends on Instagram now.
Yeah, I accepted that for sure. Yeah, no, if I ever get a chance, I'd like to film. What was the film called, by the way? I don't think I got the name of it actually.
Black and White.
Well, I definitely want to. I definitely want to give it a look and give it a look there for you there, Edgar. It seems to be a very good film.
Yeah, give it a look. The Body Politic, and I guess all the other, well, all except one of the film programs are now available to stream. Just our last one that's geo-blocked to Canada is still yet to be released, but we're going to announce that pretty soon. We've got one comment coming in from the chat from Dave Evans. Not a question, but he says, can't wait to check out these films. Cheers, guys. So we've got at least one eager person ready to check out these films. And I just see somebody else popping into our green room. But maybe what I'll do is before we get to June, I'm just gonna, since you're both still here, and maybe once I switch over to June, you could maybe even take off if you need to. I'm just wondering this is kind of the cliche question to kind of wrap up a Q&A, but what are you both of you kind of working on now or working on next? What's next for you? Maybe I'll start with Joshua.
Yeah, actually, so what I am working on next is when I'm not like kind of like doing overseas stuff right now, kind of like what I'm doing right now is with my group right now. We actually call ourselves a Napi Collective. We're an Indigenous film group based out of Siksika Nation, Blackfoot film group, and our next film actually just finished wrapping up our latest film. I believe I was assistant director on it. It was a friend of mine's film where we were trying to make a movie actually about a post-apocalyptic movie my friend has going on. And right now that's kind of the next step we have forward is this film. We filmed, I think it was about 2 weekends ago or last weekend. So right now that's kind of like what I'm doing at the moment is just kind of working with the group. And we were just planning on producing and creating more films this year. Amongst with COVID and everything, we're just trying to get over those barriers and, still collaborate as a group and kind of still keep making films out there. So yeah, definitely, if you guys don't know the Napi Collective, we have an Instagram. Definitely give our Instagram a follow. Napi spelled as Napi, the Napi Collective. So if you ever want to give like a follow us on our group, we post videos, and every like few months we like to get a new film out there. So yeah, definitely give us a follow. We're on Facebook and on Instagram, so definitely look out for those. But yeah, that's currently what I'm doing at the moment in my animation at the moment. Yeah.
Awesome, great. Yeah, glad to hear people are. I mean, I guess there's this need for creativity, even if you haven't been doing it over the past year. Although a lot of people have. At least by now, after a year of this, you gotta get creative and keep doing stuff safely as much as you can. But that's great. I hopefully I spelled that correctly. I want to throw that up quickly. Not Be Collective. Look them up on
Yes.
on social media. And is that sort of I guess specifically in Alberta, or it's kind of not tied to a geographic location?
Specifically Alberta, specifically we usually cater towards our own nation here on the reserve, Siksika Nation. So that's where we're based out of right now at the moment. So we're kind of like an upcoming group. We're still making films out there for sale right now. Just kind of like, I think if I want to say quickly, is how we did create the group was to kind of like to help youth, but not only that, but independent filmmakers. And we just kind of like gathered ourselves, Indigenous independent filmmakers together, and just kind of created, these projects that kind of came to be in our films.
Perfect. Great. Thanks for all the work you do, and keep on going. Feel free to stick around if you want. Till the very end. I might bring us all back in, but or take off if you need to. But I'll just switch over to Edgar. So yeah, same question to Edgar. What are you working on now, or next? What's coming up?
So I'm working on trying to put together I brought a short script as well as like a ghost dark comedy story, and it'll have some issues with race as well, or trying to get tell the story through like a more I guess a lighter lens, so then I'm just like we have auditions for the actors next in a couple of days, and for the main actor, and then the main girl, I think the main actor as well, the female actor, will be next week. So that's the main thing I'm working on.
Good. Again, great to glad to hear you're all keeping busy and doing things. That's what we try to do. Well, at Cinevic too, it was interesting that equipment rentals and that were still going strong over the past year. So I know that people were out there still needing to get their creativity on and make these things again kind of as safely as you can, following any kind of local protocols and health guidelines. So just, I guess, a kudos and a congrats to all you filmmakers out there who are doing that and have been doing that over the past year.
Thank you.
So I was going to switch over to Jun, but I think we've lost him again. So we might try to, for those of you tuning in, we might try to line up Cian and Jun at a different time here. We've still got the whole month till 31st, so we'll see if they're available at a different time. But for now, I guess I'll just leave it to you guys if you have any kind of final questions, comments before we wrap up here.
Well, I just got to say that like. Go ahead.
Yeah, Oh no, Edgar, go ahead. I actually at the moment don't have nothing at the moment, but go ahead, Edgar.
I just got to say that like I started watching some of the films. I watched and they were always like very interesting to see a different point of view, and then it is really specific, culturally. Like I don't know as much of that, a lot of the culture in New Zealand or like even in Canada as well, even though we're so close. Congratulations for the festival. I think it's well put together. I think you are very good at reaching out and very accessible, and I think it's a very nice festival.
Good. All right. Well, thanks for saying so. We hope to have you back in the future with these more films that you're making.
Thank you.
Yes. Although I guess we sort of limit our geography to the Pacific Rim. So Joshua, I guess you might have to, I don't know, make a film in BC or collaborate with somebody else to fit the guidelines. But oh well, those are just formalities. At the very least, we've got one of your films, so that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Alrighty.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks to both of you for tuning in. And yeah, just a note again to our viewers, we've got one more live stream coming up tomorrow this week, Wednesday, May 12th. Tomorrow's is at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That one's going to be with filmmakers from the Haida Gwaii to Hawaii screening program. And of course, check out all the other festival information, Q&As, and everything like that. Film synopses, bios, tickets, even watch the films right on our website at shortcircuitfilmfestival.com. Thanks once again to Edgar, Garcia, Chavez, and Joshua Manyheads.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
See you soon.